Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Courage Talks. Today on Courage Talks Season 2, I have a special guest, Nishant Bhardwaj, corporate leader, Ironman coach, and he's got an exceptional record of being the only Indian to run marathons in suits. Absurd as it might sound, let's hear it from the big man himself. Why does he do something crazy? Nishant?
Hi, Ethel. Thank you for having me on the show. It is truly an honor to be able to come and speak with you. Having this particular podcast have had so many wonderful guests, accomplished in their own right. I feel honored, truly. Thank you.
Hey, the feeling is mutual, man. I introduced you briefly, but would you want to give a more elaborate introduction for yourself?
Certainly. So, I love to speak with individuals such as yourself. I have a podcast called Trifrantery Chronicles. It's close to season 4 now. I'm a corporate leader. I head emerging digital ecosystems business at one of the leading organizations, BFSI organization. When I'm not working or creating content, I love to run. I love to train for Ironmans, and I help a few individuals also to pursue their dreams of doing an Ironman. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's quite exhausting, man. Seriously. You'd be taking up 10-15 minutes in your introduction every time you speak for an hour, right?
Yeah, I try to keep it slow. In fact, I'll give you a small anecdote. I was listening to Naval Ravikant from a 2019 podcast when
Uh-huh.
he had appeared at a Joe Rogan episode. So there he was talking about how life can be so unidirectional, and most people end up chasing only one mission in life, which is to excel in their corporate life. They give their entire career or time or family time, everything to just one pursuit in life. So is the case with a lot of other people. So they are typecasted as only actors, only politicians, only startup guys. But he says that life can be truly meaningful and happier if you actually go out and pursue various things in your life, which are creative pursuits, which are of course professional and financial pursuits, but all, at the same time giving time to your family and trying to find that beautiful trifecta of creativity, happiness, and health. So if you can combine these three and not have a unidirectional life, I think you will have a much happier life. And that's what my pursuit is, just to go out there and try everything. I might fail, I might be really bad at things, but I love the journey and the process.
Yeah, no, I think very well said. And the whole aspect of trying to do as much as you can,
Yeah.
ensuring that you don't feel that you underutilize yourself when you're on your deathbed, I think very critical. But all these words of wisdom, all these experience, I'm sure that's what we know you today, right? And I'm a regular follower of your podcast as well. But take us back down memory lane. What was Nishant as a child? Did you used to pee in your pants very often and trouble your parents? Tell us a bit about your childhood.
Okay, so I hail from an army background. My dad was colonel in the army. My mom was a government servant. She was a joint secretary in government of Haryana. Served there with proudly say this. She's worked with over 6 chief ministers throughout her 35 years of career. My dad is well served in the army, and that kind of set the foundation for my life. I ended up living across the country. I've done my schooling from 9 different schools. So yes, I did have nightmares every 1.5 years, 2 years when we were moving, because as a child it's very difficult to make friends, and suddenly when you start making deeper, meaningful relationships and friendships, you suddenly move to the next town, and that's completely in a different part of the country where the language is different, where the teaching methodology, food, everything is different. The way people look is different. The weather is different. But as much as everyone resists change, I think that's what has held me as an individual, and that's probably the case why I'm able to do multiple things at the same time while enjoying all of them, because I was always happy to have these change in my life, and never really getting uncomfortable. Of course you do get uncomfortable, but you would try to reduce the period of uncomfort as much as possible with the number of experiences that you keep on adding. So let me give you an example. Typically a child would only do a schooling in one school from class 1 to class 12, or probably in their entire lifetime you'll have two schools. But when you, let's say, you've done a schooling from 9 different schools, then engineering in a different college, and then MBA in a different city, different college. What has happened is over the course of your 16 years of education, 15, 16 years of education, you have been in 11 institutions. So you have been able to move quite quickly, make new friends, new connections. And what that does is, instead of taking 6 to 12 months to adjust into a new environment, or sometimes don't even adjust at all, my period to adjust would have come down to maybe 1 day, 2 day, or 7 days. So that kind of helps you to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, and that's what I live by. That keep trying, keep doing new things, and all thanks to the Indian Army that I got that exposure. Yeah, hope
Wow.
that answers the question.
No, no, it does, and two words which you repeated: change and discomfort.
Yeah.
Embracing change and accepting discomfort, I think, probably is the secret mantra. But great to know about your childhood, and I do understand this whole shifting around every year or 2 years. I'm fortunate I didn't have to go through myself, but I know a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
Talking about army background, and this podcast is all about courage talks, right?
Hmm, hmm,
Inspiration
hmm,
from
hmm.
my dad and my book Against All Odds, which is
Yeah.
all about my dad's story of courage.
Yeah.
Tell us some stories of courage from your background, your parents, your siblings, anything
Hmm.
which stands out as an example of exemplary courage, which has made you what you are today.
Well, there are many. When you are in a constant stress environment, I think you're constantly trying to adjust to new lives, new ways. But any a specific incident that comes to my mind is when my dad was detected with the stage 4 lung cancer. This was uh, around July 2018, and he was a model citizen, non-alcoholic, non-smoker, non-drinker, 5 a.m. guy, working out, ultra cyclist in his young days as well, in 70s, 80s. A Fauji who served in
I
high
didn't even know
altitude.
they cycled. They used to cycle
I
in those
suspect,
days.
that's why probably the genes would have transferred. And this I came to know much later. Only in my 30s I discovered that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming back to the story, July 2018, Colonel Inder Mohan was detected with stage 4 lung cancer, and unfortunately, nobody knew about it. Even there were no signs. Typically, if you're progressing from stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, you would at least have some signs, some sickness. Directly, he was detected with stage 4, and unfortunately, the prognosis was that he would not survive even 6 months.
Oh my.
That severe it was. But at the face of this dreading news, he never gave up. He said, I will continue to fight. He did not even put any of us into discomfort. He was serving as director of ITFT group of colleges. You would not believe, he continued his job. He used to wake up in the morning, go to the hospital, get his chemotherapy done 3 4 hours in the day, directly go to the college, serve there throughout the day from 11 to 7, 6, 7, come back home. And chemo is not easy.
Not at
I
all. Right.
mean, the, you could be a warrior, you could be a Alexander the Great, but when it comes to chemo, it batters your mental, physical, emotional
Yeah.
states,
No doubt about it.
disrupts your sleep, gives you nausea throughout the day, gives you pains and aches throughout the day. But he never gave up. And he said that I will continue to fight as long as you guys are there with me. And you know unbelievable as it may sound, just to be able to encourage him, we started sitting with him and only started speaking positive things, happy things.
Yeah.
I was a non-swimmer, a non-cyclist throughout my life, and Ironman Goa was coming to India for the very first time. This was, I think, January, February 2019. By the way, 6 months had passed and he was still really fighting it on. He had already had some, I think, 8 or 10 cycles of chemos. He did not give up, and then I signed up for the Ironman race, knowing fully well that I can't swim, just to be able to encourage him.
Wow.
Without having any background, I started watching YouTube videos, learned swimming by watching YouTube videos. And
Oh,
within 5 months of that, from not knowing anything about swimming, I bought a cycle, started riding, enrolled with a coach. And within 6 months of signing it, I did the Ironman Goa without having zero knowledge of swimming and cycling. And that kind of also helped him that, if my son is doing it, and I kept dedicating it daily that, Papa, see, I've done this today, I've done that today. And because you are an Iron
Yeah.
Man, how
Yeah.
difficult the journey, and first couple of races would be even more difficult.
Yeah.
But that kept him going, kept him going day after day, day after day. And that philosophy of not giving up, eventually we lost him on 15th May 2022. But from having only 5 to 6 months to live to actually living for good 4 years without giving up, defying all medical science, all diagnosis, prognosis, and logical thinking, uh, medical science, and he went on fighting. And I think that's what formed my character, that come what may, don't give up. Just
Yeah.
keep a calm, cool mind, keep going one day at a time, have a positive attitude towards life, keep encouraging people, and eventually I think no matter what difficulties you're facing, you will sail through.
Yeah. No, quite heartwarming and totally relatable, right? I mean, my own dad had cancer in June 2019, late
Hmm.
stage. Only difference was prostate, and he lived on for about 12 months. And he was obviously inspired by my fitness regime, and
Yeah.
I still so very well remember you mentioned it. I would tell Dad, "You're son of an Iron Man. You're bigger than me. You have that in you to do that." Unfortunate as it might be, but it's events or incidents or experiences like this
Hmm.
which bring out the best in us, right? I mean, and I think we are structured that way, right? We wait for adversities
Hmm.
to pull ourselves out, right? Otherwise we always find niceness and comfort and
Absolutely.
feeling relaxed. No, but moving on, you have had a stellar career in corporate life as well. Any instance of courage which you'd want to talk about, courage at the workplace?
Wow, that's a good question. As funny as it may sound, we are all always chasing numbers when we are in our corporate career, especially if you're in sales or marketing or B2B or anything related to growth. And the most beautiful thing happens is that you are giving day in, day out, and living and dying for those numbers. But let's say 10 years later, like today we are sitting, I've always been a sales and marketing guy. If you ask me, I would have spent sleepless nights for days when month end closing or mid month closing happens. But I kid you not, I don't remember a single number what we were chasing during those days and nights. And hence, it tells you, if you think about the number of races that you would have done, if I ask you today the first race that you would have done in 2014, 15, 16, you will still clearly remember the number, the timing that you did in that race, how you collected the bib, how you finished the race. So, I mean, life should be more about than just work.
Yeah.
And you should try to live those moments, create those moments which you are more passionate about.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not discounting anything about work. I am super passionate about work, and probably I do relate to what Narayan Murthy had said about if you want to be really, really successful, you should be working for 70 hours. Now,
Yeah.
that number itself could be very different for different people, because if you're in creative pursuit, or if you're an entrepreneur who actually not even working 70 hours, you're working throughout your waking hours. So that,
Yeah.
and you may not even call it work, because you're constantly at it. So if you're talking about just sitting in front of the machine and then working, probably that theory doesn't hold true. But at the same time, I think couple of incidences that come to my mind: when we were building YONO SBI, I was one of the founding team members, recruited very early on, and we did the 0 to 100 million journey. I was part of the 0 to 60 million journey, where I was leading the brand and social and digital. Uh, we had launched the app in around November 2017. I still recollect the date. It was 24th November 2017. Honorable then Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, had launched the app. We started with all fanfare because it was a SBI product. But within a month, we started getting so much flack because there were shortcomings and limitations in the UI UX and the overall UX of the app. And we started getting hammered in the App Store
Yeah.
and Play Store, getting really bad ratings. But then it took a moment of courage, because we are on the topic of courage. There was a team formed of 4 crack people. We used to sit down day in, day out, throughout the night, throughout the day, shaping through the uh, amount of negative reviews. And we were getting around 2,000 reviews on Play Store, which is so hard to come by every
Yeah.
single day. And
Yeah.
another 2,000 on social media. We used to sift through using AI tech and manual processes and go through all the 4,000 comments, comment on each of them, reach out to the customers, starting replying to the customers, identifying the top 20 problems to solve for a particular day, work on that with the tech team in a super agile way. And slowly, the number of complaints started coming down over a period of next 2 to 3 months. So I feel that, despite coming from a huge brand, some people say that you have all the backing of the funding and all of this. But my message to people is that funding may not solve the problem. Only brand will not solve the problem. Actually listening to the customers, giving your day in, day out. I remember you used to work for 16 hours a day also while we were working on this particular project to turn it around. So when push comes to shove, you'll have to really go deeper into the trenches and start listening to the customers. That's where you will find the solutions to your problem. And I think this actually turned it around. And today, YONO contributes to about 25% of SBI's new business acquisition. I think about 20% to the top line, bottom line of an institution like SBI. So that's massive. And it's a name to reckon with in the neo-banking sector. So that's something I'm really proud of.
No doubt about that. I mean, app is something which I've started using initially, and I used to script so much about it. So now I know the point man to go to in case I face problem with the
Was
app. No, but fantastic experience. Yeah, I think in the IT industry there are umpteen examples of how under pressure, under duress, and unreasonable deadlines which are put on by people who have absolutely no idea how to go about doing it.
Yeah.
Brings in the best out of you, right? I mean, these pressure situations are where you really grow up suddenly, right? Moving on from corporate life, I know you like me, you love running marathons, but you tend to stand out, or you want to attract the female crowd by
Oh
standing
God.
out with all those
That's
fancy
not
suits which you wear while running. I mean, why? I mean, why do you go through this torture, man? Seriously, tell me about it.
Okay, torture is probably an overstatement, and attracting females is also not the objective at all.
I
If
know you
any,
don't. I don't know you don't want to admit it on camera. That's okay.
you will get me killed, and you. But that's not the objective. The objective has always been to showcase. See, I have been a fitness enthusiast for about 18 years. I've been trying to spread the message by being a practitioner and at the same time spreading the message of data and science-based sports physiology, psychology, everything around fitness through my social media and my unidirectional purpose. This might be the only thing where I'm unidirectional, using Instagram as a medium to create awareness around science and data behind fitness and sport. And so, what I've seen is corporates are the ones that are under tremendous pressure. There is a couple of studies which says that about 49% of the youngsters at the age till the age of 35 are at the risk of getting some kind of cardiovascular disease and even heart attack by in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
Uh,
true.
Diabetes in India, there are 110 million diabetic people in the country, and it is growing at 20%. I mean, imagine you are an angel investor, you would kill for that kind of a growth when you have 100 million users of a particular platform,
Yeah,
20% growing annually. So these are not good signs for an economy which wants to be a $5 trillion economy in the next 5 years and also wants to lead the world. We need to be the fittest version, the most strongest version of ourselves. And hence, I thought, why not use the platform of running marathons? I've run over 300 half and full marathons, done number of Ironman races. But TMM is a unique platform because TMM, there are 50,000 runners, but there are probably 10 to 20 lakh people coming and watching and cheering for you, and it's surreal. It's just beautiful. I thought,
yeah,
let's do something where maybe running this particular race might help just 10 people get inspired to come out of their comfort zone of corporate jobs and salary and this and that and all kinds of excuses. If we ask 10 excuses to anyone, you will give 10 excuses today that I don't have time, my boss does this, my spouse has that, I don't have the resources, I don't live in that particular area. But so then hence I thought, being a marketer, I thought, let's do it by visual way of showing the message, sending the message out. And hence the idea of running a full marathon in a business suit. that despite the discomfort, despite being tortured, as you said it, or
Yes.
tortured, if I can take out time, I can run a full marathon in a business suit, you can do it too. You can take out just 250 hours. I have this 250 hours fitness rule where I say that you just need 5 hours a week, 50 weeks. In 250 hours in the entire year, you can lose 20 kilos. You can run a full marathon. You can even do a half Ironman. You can put in 10 kgs of muscle. Any kind of fitness goal, if you have, you just need 250 hours in the entire year and you can achieve it. And that's just 5 hours a week, yeah. And I think anyone can do it. So that was the message, and I think it is well received. Over the course of last 3 years, it has crossed over, I think, 50 million organic views on various social media platforms. So probably I'll run one this year as well.
Wow. No, I think there's a beautiful concept of 250 hours. I never thought it that way. And I think that makes it easier to put it into a capsule format, right?
Yeah,
And people know that that's all what you need to do. And obviously the rewards are pretty
awesome.
apparent. And yes, you rightly said, I think if I was ever going to run in suit, I think TMM would be the best event to run. I think it's got the largest possible crowd
Yeah,
that you could probably get attention of. And obviously it's the financial capital for the country as well.
yeah, yeah.
Well said. Moving on from marathons to Ironman, and you're not just an Ironman participant; you're an Ironman coach as well.
Yeah.
We all know how tough an Ironman journey can be, and vulnerability is something which men are typically not given a chance to, right?
Hmm.
To display your emotion, to cry if you want to.
Hmm.
Any particular instance where you almost felt like crying? Something where you broke down and you felt that enough is enough here. I mean, what am I doing here?
Okay, I'll answer it in two parts. When we talk about vulnerability, uh, there is you cry because of a sense of loss or a sense of belongingness. You wanted something, or and you lost it, and you had something and then you lost it, or probably you think you deserved something and then you lost it.
Yeah, true.
And this might come from a place of comparison, envy, want, need, or that aspiration part of it. But then there is breaking down just because the rigors of life, that I'm not getting the due, I'm going through so much, the physicality, the hardships of doing an Ironman. See, we are working professionals. All of us have a day job, and Ironman journey is not easy. I, whenever I speak with anyone, I ask them their why. Why do you want to do it? Because that why is so important. After the first few pictures, the selfies, and the post that I'm going to do this Ironman, the journey is very, very lonely. The number of hours on a particular week, like 10 to 12 hours of intensive work that you're putting in, even 15 to 20 hours in the peak phase, are very lonely and very painful. Beyond 1 hour, it's not fun.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
might cry because of those pains as well. And I've experienced both. I've had the loss of my father, and in fact, 22 years ago, I'd lost my younger brother as well, Ishan,
Oh
to
man.
blood cancer. So, I mean, yes, every now and then I do get emotional, missing them, taking care of my family, and probably these kind of um events, incidences make you even more emotional. You might think that you are invincible, you might think you are too strong and all, but I think at the same time it becomes your superpower as well. I have stopped seeing it as my weakness. I probably use this pain to tap into this whenever I'm going through hard workouts, whenever I'm literally breaking down in life because of whatever professional, personal, financial, whatever reasons there might be. I think tapping into some of this emotional side and thinking that how they might be feeling when they were going through all of this and they kept on fighting. Why do I need to give up? So I think being emotional or being breaking down or crying can actually be your superpower if you can actually look at it and use it as a tool in your mental arsenal. Tap into your pain. Look at the demons that you have in your life, and everyone has those struggles. If you can actually rely into it, it can become a portion of actually going out there and fighting a battle which is not just about a particular परस्यूट कि मुझे आयरन मैन करना है या मैराथन करना है या फिर वो फंडिंग उठानी है. You can
Yeah.
actually use it as a way to enjoy the journey using the pain that you have. It could be like a gel to each of your workouts, if that makes
No,
sense.
very well said. I think, yeah, and the training aspect is so true. I mean, if you had asked me that question, I always say, Ironmans are easy. It's the training which is the one which really makes you cry.
Yeah,
And you're alone. You need to set your own plans. You need to take your own hydration and nutrition with you.
yeah,
There's nobody around to cheer you. There's
yeah.
nobody around to boost you. There's nobody even to high five at the end of the race as
True,
well.
true.
Sometimes you would hope that start point पे कोई तो खड़ा होगा. In practice and training कोई नहीं खड़ा होता है. Even the people who started with you would have
Yeah.
finished long before you, or might be long behind you. There's nobody going to be around at the start point as well. And it's and that's where the real strength comes in, and that's where
Mm,
you build up courage, knowing the fact
mm,
that if I can do so well in training,
mm.
the actual event is just going to be a
Yeah,
cakewalk, right? No, fantastic stuff. Last I would probably touch upon, you're a podcaster, and it's not easy, getting hold of people and setting these things up, right? I mean, you've been the one who's I've looked up to from a technical support perspective, if you may call it. And I think the kind of precise work that you go through in terms of the whole process. Anything or share about your podcasting journey? Something which stands out in terms of experiences, something which the listeners can relate to
yeah,
when they start their own podcast.
absolutely. So, you know, I think everyone should have a podcast. It might be a bold statement. It might say, some people might call it a,
It might be creating a lot of competition for us.
that's fine. I think,
Healthy competition, I would say.
yeah, absolutely. See,
Yeah.
what I've learned about podcasting, it started from a place of neither vanity metrics. I did not want any likes, comments, share, or whatever those numbers are people are chasing.
You're on camera. You said you don't want likes, comments, and
Yeah, yeah,
shares.
absolutely. And I'm quite candid in my physical conversations as well. Neither was I chasing any kind of monies or revenues and all of that. If it happens, I'm happy about it. That's also something that I would like to put it on the camera. But yeah, that being said, what has happened is I started my podcast around July 2020. So I've completed 4 seasons of it. It's been 4 years. I met to get to meet incredible people such as yourself. I've met people from around the world, from US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, India, Nepal. So many different countries. Singapore. People who are Everesters, Arjuna awardees, people who have done multiple ultra marathons, they are working with NASA on longevity. They are running their startups, CEO, CBO, CXO, Ultramans. So what has happened is all these people who achieve at the highest level would have spent at least 20 years and not 10 years. The 10,000 rule does not apply to these people. That's for building slightly better than mediocrity. These people would have spent 20,000 hours or maybe 20 years, 30 years. What I get is 60 to 70 minutes of intimate conversation. These people share their 20 years of experience in a crystallized form in 20 minutes without the need of having an alcohol in our bodies, without having coffee and all of that, because most of these conversations are recorded over some of the platforms. You become a better communicator, you become a better listener, which is so important these days. Everyone wants to just blabber about, right? But what
Yeah.
about the art of listening? And what has happened is that has contributed to the way I process things, I perceive things. I was always I always enjoyed doing things slow, but this process of meeting people such as yourself has made me realize that amazing things, extraordinary things in life actually come when you're working on it for years and years and years and decades, and love the process, slow it down, and then eventually you will meet success.
Yeah.
Success is just an outcome. You just said it when you spoke
Yeah.
about the Ironman. When you cross the finish line, you just get the medal, but you became an Ironman in your training. Same is the
Mhm.
case with any pursuit in life. And hence, every founder that might be watching it, every person on LinkedIn, every person on Instagram that might be watching it, YouTube, you should have a podcast, because this will make you a better communicator.
Yeah.
This will help you to get your message out, crystallize your thoughts, and also enable you to build the thought process itself. Now, that being said, I also personally feel that in India's podcasting journey kind of started about 4 or 5 years ago only. Whereas in the US, it started around 2007, 2008 when podcasts really started picking up.
Yeah.
Some of the main podcasters like Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, Rich Roll, these guys are earning hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And I
Yeah.
think in India also, people like Ranveer Alapadia, various other podcasts are there. They are doing exceptionally well. This will also become a very good industry where you can actually separate the good from the surface
Yeah.
level people.
Yeah.
Influencers who blurt out 30-second videos on social media are only picking up some Google search or copying other videos and just blurting it out in 30 seconds. Podcast mein your real knowledge, the real depth, real experiences can actually start showing. So this will allow you to build a better mindset in the economy of attention deficit disorder. You can actually start building depth to your character. So these are some of the ways that everyone should. Now, quickly answering the question how one can start around it, I think don't need to look at fancy camera, fancy equipment. Just start with your phone. Just start with your laptop. Sit with the next. Decide a theme that you're really passionate about. You never really get bored around it. It could be art, fitness, culture, politics, commenting on I don't know, OTT, gaming, whatever that you find your fancy. Start inviting people, DMing them on Instagram, Facebook. That's how we connected, right?
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and
That's right.
so use LinkedIn, use Instagram, create your network. And I feel, I mean, despite even if I become a billionaire, I want to still keep doing this. And I'm still
Yeah.
this one also. I'm putting it out there.
No, fantastic. No, it's very well said. I think podcasting as a art might be perceived to be difficult, but once you start doing it and you get a hang of it, I think you can probably do multiple of them at the same time. No,
Absolutely.
it's been fantastic talking to you, Nishant. I think right from corporate life to Ironman to marathons to podcasting, we discussed a lot, and I'm sure the listeners will get a lot of inspiration to do a lot of courageous act. Depending on whatever they choose to.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts? Anything you want to leave the listeners with? Something very crisp and
Sure.
something which they can remember you for.
If there is only one thing that people might remember from this podcast is try to do a lot of things that you love in life, which is something related to finance, something related to art, culture, and fitness. And when you start compartmentalizing your life, start giving one non-negotiated hour to each of these pursuits, you will see that within 6 to 12 months, you start excelling at things. Do not be boxed into one environment, one thing, and one thing only for your life. Try out multiple things, and I am very sure that you'll succeed. I have this mantra, I call it train, endure, conquer. Continue to train in your life. You keep enduring the pain, and you will conquer. Train, endure, conquer, guys.
Fantastic. Train, endure, conquer. There's nothing better way to conclude. Thanks a lot, Nishant. It's been wonderful talking to you,
Thank
and
you so
all
much.
the best to continue for all your pursuits.
Thank you so much, Hetal. Thanks.
Thanks.